Hi, welcome back to the Weekly Why. This week we have Parsha Eikev. So we are really finishing up the book of Deuteronomy, the fifth book of the Torah, of the 5 books. I want to discuss one particular verse in this week's Parsha, which really obviously is a much greater issue and a much greater topic than the verse itself. But I just want to give the verse itself. Basically, this whole Parsha is basically we're finishing up the Torah, the end of Moses' life, and one of the things he's teaching the Jewish people is basically giving them almost a recap, like a pep talk, saying, don't forget God, don't forget where you came from, don't forget to maintain that distinct identity, even though you be in the land of Canaan with different groups and idolaters, etc. But one particular verse I'd like to address. It's in the 8th chapter of the book of Deuteronomy. And basically God says, when you are in the land of Israel, and when you have all these foods, and you enter a land of wheat and barley, vines and figs and pomegranates, and you will eat and you will be satiated, and you will bless the Lord your God for the land he has given you. So basically what God or Moses is saying here is that when you are in the land, not just in the land, but when you eat and you are satiated, bless the Lord, thank God. So there's a whole number of things which can be addressed here. Is that obviously one, why does it say right after you've eaten? I mean, obviously, you know that we make a blessing before and after we eat food, but why is the actual biblical law afterwards, right? One of the reasons is that because it's so hard to see God, recognize God when we have plenty. In other words, when you're poor, when you're hungry, yes, it's very easy, it's much easier to be religious when you have so little, because it's very easy to see that clearly I am so limited and I am so finite, and clearly it's not so difficult to have a modest and a humble demeanor when you have nothing. But when you are rich and when you are powerful and when you have no shortage of anything, then it becomes just a little bit difficult to believe in God. And not difficult necessarily to believe that God exists, but really to have God in your life and to recognize that what you have is not really exclusively from your hands. It's really everything you do is as a result of God. I mean, you think, I work hard every day, 9 to 5, I have what I have. And other people work just as hard 9 to 5 and they don't have 1/10 of what you have. Or other people never even have the opportunity to work 9 to 5 because they're born in a third world country, etc., etc. So obviously the point there is gratitude. And obviously just the major purpose of making blessings, that why does God need a blessing from us at all? I mean, obviously quite presumptuous to think that we are quote-unquote blessing God, but why does God need anything from us? Obviously it is a philosophical necessity that if God is eternal, omnipotent, omniscient, God is the creator of the heavens and the earth, obviously he does not in any way, shape, or form depend on my thanking him by saying Birkat Hamazon or benching after meals. He does not in any way, his nature, depend on that. So the question is, why is this needed? So if God doesn't need this, and yet why is he therefore asking me? Obviously it is for my benefit. And what is the benefit there? The benefit is that, as Pirkei Avot, the ethics of the fathers teaches us, says, who is happy with his lot? Who is happy? He who is happy with his lot. Why is that? We are happy when we sit back and we make an account and we write down what we're happy for, the blessings that we have, right? I mean, we think it's a very novel approach that, we sit down and we write down the blessings that we have, and all of a sudden that makes us happier. This is nothing new. Pirkei Avot said this, 1,800 years ago. The point of this, obviously, by Birkat Hamazon is that this is but one small, tiny example of the fact that God says, you know what? I don't need you to thank me. I don't become any more or less of a God with or without your blessings. But if you, after eating and being satiated, you recognize and you say, thank you, God, for the blessings you bestowed. Thank you for making me born in Canada, the United States, a wealthy country. Thank you for having me have a job, or my parents have a job so we can afford bread, etc., etc. You will feel much more gratitude. And by feeling more gratitude, you will be happier, and you will obviously grow as a human being. So obviously that is one but small idea as to why God is asking us to do this. So the take-home message for us is that ultimately when we say Birkat Hamazon, or really any blessing at all over food or anything at all, just take a moment. The whole idea of a blessing is that that's supposed to be the moment, but really we're at the stage where we say a blessing, we still don't know. So really take a moment before you say the blessing and say, why am I supposed to say this blessing? What is the purpose of this? This is not supposed to be so God benefits. God gets no benefit out of it whatsoever. It's supposed to be for me to say, wow, I am in a stage, I am in a situation where I literally have food anytime, any place I want. Who can imagine what an incredible blessing that is? So that is one of the things we take home. And again, I think a really cool exercise that we should consider doing is once a day, just before you go to sleep, take a pad of paper, same pad of paper, you don't need to have a new one each night, but a pad of paper and write down one little thing that you see you blessing in your life for. Thank God that I have a family. Thank God that I have my health. Thank God that I understand Judaism. Thank God that I'm part of a community. Thank God that I am in one of the few times ever in history where I can learn Torah and be a Jew and identify without being afraid, of repercussions from the state or from others. There are 100 million things that we can be thankful for. And so maybe just try this at home every day, for as long as you can. Write down, the list. One little thing every night, not too much. Even in that day, one thing that you see blessing for in that day. And okay, come back to me. Let me know, post a comment on this video. Let me know whether you feel any more blessing from that as a result. That's the point that Parsha Eikev and that this verse is supposed to give us, is that when you recognize the bounty God gives you in all aspects of our life, God doesn't benefit from that. You benefit from that. Because when you see the blessings that God gives you, you cannot help but feel the kind of gratitude and the blessings that He has, and therefore just the ultimate thankfulness that He's created you. And so obviously, who can imagine more of a Hakarat Tov, more of a gratitude than that? And when we have that gratitude, obviously our entire life changes. That, of course, is the message that verse in Pirkei Avot and Parsha Eikev is supposed to be giving us. So once again, recap, it's telling us, bless God after the meal, after you've been satiated, not because it benefits God, but because it helps remind us the blessings that God has bestowed upon us. And the more that we recount our blessings, the happier and the more, holy people ultimately we are. That's it for Parsha Eikev. Best wishes, Shabbat Shalom, God bless.